Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all getting a chance to fight that war against the grey. Today, we've got another video in our Start Collecting series, a series that is all about looking at the various Start Collecting boxes for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, looking at the units inside them and how they help us create the starting point for an army, for the army that they are supposed to represent in Age of Sigmar. We'll also take a look and see how we can progress this army further to make a cool, unique and thematic force representative of what the Start Collecting box is trying to get us to collect. Today we're going to look at an interesting one, and this is the Start Collecting Malignants box. Now, a little bit of history about this box to begin with. This was originally brought out at the start of Age of Sigmar, like the very start of Age of Sigmar, when things like the Mortis engine, the big thing you can see in the back there, was actually a part of the Malignants range, and Nighthaunt were known as Malignants. So that is where it gets its name from now. However, this box no longer is a starter set for Nighthaunt as such, because the Nighthaunt can't actually take a Mortis engine in their army. You could use this for a starting point for a Nighthaunt army, though you would have to use the Mortis engine as one of the alternate builds to make it an ally for your Nighthaunt army. We might revisit this in a later stage and have another look at this box if we do that sort of thing. But for what I'm going to do for this time though, is I'm going to look at it as a Start Collecting box for the Legion of Grief. The Legion of Grief is a special allegiance that you can find in the Forbidden Power supplement book, and is effectively Lady Alinda's full legion of undead warriors. Lady Alinda is the Mortarch of Grief, and so obviously the Legion of Grief is her legion. This is sort of a mix-up with a majority of a Nighthaunt force backed up by some other units in the armies, like the Skeletons and the Deadwalkers and Necromancers and some various bits and pieces, and it creates a really cool sort of mixed force. It's slightly different to a normal Nighthaunt army, and I really suggest you go read up properly on it before fully committing to it, because they are quite different in how they work. However, they do use a lot of Nighthaunt models within the Legion of Grief. So let's start looking at the models inside the box now that we've got that out of the way. Now, one thing you'll actually notice with this box, the way they tell you to build it, there's no actual character in the box. And so, we do get a Mortis engine. The Mortis engine is cool. It's sort of like this buff piece that floats around your army. It creates an aura where it does some mortal wounds and can heal models around it as well. It's a really cool piece, and it's a fantastic model. Like, the Mortis engine is just amazing. I've got one randomly sitting on my desk right next to me. I don't even have a undead army, but I've got a Mortis engine because it's cool and I want to paint it. And that's really like a good start point for the army. It also is quite different to the rest of the force that you're going to have in the Start Collecting box. So it is a great way to add some different colours that you wouldn't otherwise add. But let's look at the two units inside the box. And so first of all, we get a unit of 3 Spirit Hosts. These are the larger based models of literally ghosts that you can see. Spirit Hosts have got a lot of wounds on a single base. They're sort of like a swarm, really, of like spirits floating around. They do some mortal wounds on 6s with their spectral touch ability, and they're quite useful as well. I've actually seen some large units of these on tables before, and they can get quite powerful with the right sort of buffs and that to them. The other unit is the Undead Cavalry box, which can actually be built, and because we're playing Legion of Grief, you can actually use both variations of the build inside Legion of Grief, but the one we've got here that you can see in the picture is Hex Race. Hex Race are effectively almost like sort of headless horsemen. I mean, they've got heads, but the idea of like who the headless horseman is, that's sort of their thing. Like ghosts, they run through, they can do mortal wounds when they fly over enemy units, which is really cool. The alternate build for this kit is the Black Knights kit. So Black Knights are pretty much just your stock standard skeletal warriors on skeletal steeds. They're really cool, and they can actually pack quite a punch when they charge. They do get some extra damage benefits when they charge. And so that's a cool unit. And it really doesn't matter which one you choose to go, because they both are available to you in Legion of Grief. But where do we go from here with Legion of Grief? Now, the first thing I'm going to suggest we have a look at is getting a hero into the army and getting some Battleline into the army. So there's really no particular order that you want to do this in, but you probably want to get both probably quickly to add to this force and get your army up and running. So I'm going to suggest that you try and look at Chainrust Horde. You can probably pick these up pretty quick and pretty cheaply. Also, like a good buy for this box would actually be trying to find the half of the Age of Sigmar Soul War starter set. would be a great addition, because you get some Chain Rasp and you get some other Nighthaunt as well as some other characters as well. Would be a great addition to this Start Collecting box. Hero wise though, I really recommend picking up a Necromancer. Necromancers are really great. They allow you to bring back your summonable units, and they've got some pretty decent spells on them as well for a wizard. They're just a great piece, and the model is actually really nice. Like he's getting a little bit old now, but the Necromancer model I'm a big fan of. And if you can track down the old Necromancer with Hat or Heinrich Kemmler model, you'll have a fantastic sort of piece to lead your force. Moving on from here though, and so the next thing I really want to talk about is, I've got Grimghast Reapers written here, but I really want to talk about elite units as a whole. So Grimghast Reapers are effectively big ghosts with giant scythes. They're effectively like the Grim Reaper. You've got lots of options though when you go with your elite units in Legion of Grief, and that's what's great about it. You could pick up these Grimghast Reapers. You've got things like Dreadscythe Harridans, and you've even got the skeletal units, so like Graveguard. You could also look at like getting even a couple of the Ossiarch Bone Reaper units are available to Legion of Grief in the Morghast Archive and Morghast Harbingers. Not just that, but you've also got access to just a whole variety of different elite units, which is really cool, and can just give you a wide range of units that you can play around with. The last thing though I want to talk about in the Start Collecting Malignants box is Lady Alinda. So if you're going to get a Legion of Grief army, I mean, there's no one else better to lead your army than Lady Alinda. She's the Mortarch of Grief. This is her army that you're playing a part of, so it just makes sense to me. If you're going to get a Legion of Grief army, you get the Mortarch of Grief to go with it. There's also other fantastic characters you can get to lead this army. All the other Mortarchs can be a part of her army for the most part. Nagash is another great model, especially if you want a giant centerpiece. You could have the God of Death in your army, which is awesome. Ragnar the Grim Hailer and Kurdos Valentian, the Craven King, are both available in the army because they're Nighthaunt units, and you can take all your Nighthaunt characters in the army. And just other great pieces, and like, so you've got some real good options for centerpiece heroes within your force, which is amazing. But definitely my pick of them all is Lady Alinda. I mean, like I've said, it's her army. Why would you not want to include her in it? The last thing to suggest getting is picking up some Endless spells. So you've got the the Nighthaunt Endless spell set. As long as you've got a Nighthaunt wizard, so Lady Alinda or something else, I forget the name of it, the Nighthaunt Guardian of Souls, I think it might be. I'm sorry if I got the name wrong. But you've got the other Nighthaunt wizards as well that you can pick up that can all cast these endless spells, so they're always worth having, but I don't think really they're any necessity. And just worth noting that only the Nighthaunt wizards can actually cast these, even though you're in a full army that's sort of pseudo Nighthaunt, so your Necromancer can't actually cast these endless spells. But that's all I really wanted to go over. This is a really interesting Start Collecting box, and I might look at it from a different way of maybe trying to take it as a Nighthaunt box in the future. And if you want to see it maybe leading into a pure proper Nighthaunt army and get some thoughts on that, then leave that in the comments and I'll do a video on that. But I do think Legion of Grief is the way to run this particular Start Collecting box. That's all from me though, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. We're fast approaching 1,000 subscribers, so please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're so close now, it's amazing. Thank you everyone for supporting the channel. We've got a giveaway for everyone who subscribes. You'll be able to enter the giveaway on the channel, and it'll be a sort of gift basket full of lots of different hobby stuff, from models, books, and just everything. There's so much to give away. And so for every 100 subscribers we pass, you'll be entering into the draw, and we'll get another box to give away. But last of all, everyone, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. And don't forget, in the description down below, we've got our Discord that you can come join and chat with all the people there and myself. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. I've said that twice now. See you all later, everyone. Ciao for now.